In every person's life, there will be only one contract with a god, and this Yuno is the same. As soon as he was born, an unknown god gave him ultimate power. It will help Yuno dominate the world, but that is only if he diligently practices and controls his power. It all depends on Yuno. As soon as she learned to walk, Yuno threw herself into training, but it was all in vain. Yuno cannot control this power, because the flow of power is so great that if he releases it carelessly, Yuno will harm others, so he decided to keep this a secret. That's why in the eyes of friends, they only consider Yuno as a useless person. Where Yuno lives is the Royal Ferris Magic Academy. Only promising elite students can set foot in this academy. But a person who was considered incompetent like Yuno could come here to study, making Maru's group of friends unable to accept that, standing in the middle of the class and criticizing Yuno for relying on the family's power to come here to study. Yuno didn't want to come here either. What he wanted was just a peaceful life growing vegetables and raising chickens in the countryside. Yuno completely ignored Maru, making him very angry, using magic to beat him. Right now, a girl stood up to stop Maru, lightly mentioning Maru's name, so shut up. Yuno is at this academy because he is capable. The reason Alice said so was because Yuno's score in the written test was the highest in the course. As for Maru, he almost died. Alice teased him, which made him very uncomfortable. He immediately turned around and told everyone that Alice liked Yuno. Yuno didn't care if others humiliated him or not. He could endure this alone, but dragging Alice into it didn't feel very good. He was about to speak up for Alice when the teacher walked in. The argument ended here. The teacher let everyone return to their positions, introduced himself a little, that Soleil would be their homeroom teacher from today. Maru continued to aim at Yuno, wondering to the teacher why a person who knew neither swordsmanship nor magic could sit in this class. Teacher Soleil turned over the information board and checked. Yuno's practice score was indeed very bad. But his score on the written exam was maximum, so instead of wondering, Teacher Soleil advised Maru that it would be better to study Yuno. Entering the first class, Mr. Soleil thoroughly explained to them about the contract with a god. The god grants power to the contractee, proportional to their fame, so the more famous the student can communicate with a god, the more power they will receive. 100 hearings are not as good as a seeing, so Master Soleil immediately brought a god in for them to see. She introduced herself to them as an anonymous god. The reason she was anonymous because she was just a weaker god than other gods. And she doesn't even have her own name, all of which makes this nameless god unable to give others power. The more he explained, the more the students laughed about this god. At that moment, Maru stood up and wanted to make a contract with the unknown god. But he didn't have any good intentions at all, he just wanted to mock her and gave her the name of an incompetent god. Yuno sat still and watched. Seeing this scene, he couldn't stand it anymore. Humans are not allowed to disrespect a god, even if she is just an unknown god. Alice knew about this teacher. She had been at the academy for 12 years but had not made a contract with her. But Yuno did. He ignored Alice's advice and walked straight in front of Maru, punched him unconscious, then knelt down in front of the nameless god. The god who previously gave him power called himself Zeus. His power was too terrible. If not controlled, it will definitely cause disaster. That's why Yuno decided to bury that power and live the life of an incompetent person. But today, right at this moment, Yuno's will emerged once again, wanting him to use his power to protect this goddess. With all due respect, Yuno knelt down and asked for permission to make a contract. To her, from this very day she will be named Athena. The whole class gasped at Yuno's action. Even Athena couldn't believe her eyes. She smiled brightly and accepted the contract with Yuno. This was the face Yuno wanted to see from her. To protect this smile, Yuno will have to be more serious from now on. It's been a few days since Yuno made a contract with Athena, and rumors have spread throughout the academy. Just walking on the school grounds, everyone who looked at him had to talk about him. Everyone criticized Yuno for seriously injuring Maru. Because of that action, on the first day of school, Yuno was suspended. Yuno entered the classroom, sat and looked at Athena standing outside the window waiting for her. She's so cute. Yuno couldn't hold back his happiness. He turned around and saw Alice looking at him with a very confusing look. Of course, she supported Yuno and did not blame him for making a contract with an unknown god. Alice reminds Yuno to be careful, because this afternoon there will be a mock battle and she is sure a group named Maru will play bad tricks on him. Yuno doesn't worry because he already has goddess Athena by his side. This afternoon he will show them her power. Right from the beginning, Yuno signed a contract with Athena with a clear purpose. to make her famous and prove to everyone that Athena is not a weak goddess. One of Athena's privileges given to Juno is called spear magic. It is a skill that helps Juno master spear magic. Combined with the privilege of the god Zeus, Juno is very confident that no one can touch him as long as he seriously fights them. The current situation is very supportive of Juno's plan, because his reputation in the academy is at rock bottom. If you just make a breakthrough now, Athena's reputation will spread far and wide. This afternoon will be Juno's first step in implementing that plan. The practice match had arrived and the class was led to the arena by Mr. Soleil. Before fighting, Mr. Soleil had to explain the rules to everyone. Since it was only a practice match, they would be able to use weapons with the least damage, and magic could only be used with elementary magic. Teacher Soleil let the students freely choose their opponents, as Alice predicted. Right after finishing speaking, Maru asked Juno to come to the ring. Just as he wanted, it always saved the trouble of waiting. Juno didn't hesitate to run up there, making Maru very surprised. To repay the previous humiliation, Maru was determined to beat Juno to a pulp. When the battle started, he used a wind sword to attack Juno. Juno didn't even bother to dodge but rushed straight in front of him and then used a wooden spear to deflect his attack. This made Alice startled. How the hell could Juno do such a thing? Maru himself couldn't believe his eyes. He was about to give Juno another blow, but it was too late. Juno had already approached him with just one blow. Juno had won. Right at this moment, Juno felt something very different in his body. This was the first time that Juno felt like he could control the great power of the god Zeus. It was so powerful that it made Juno felt like if that was all it took, he would stand at the top of this academy. But that thought was quickly dismissed by Athena's cheers. Yes, his mission now is to make Athena famous. And protecting her so he couldn't get lost, Maru's group of friends rushed onto the field to avenge him. Juno accepted everything. Of course there was no one strong enough to defeat him. Juno's overwhelming victory quickly spread throughout the academy. Other students also began to have a different view of Athena. They recognized her strength and also wanted to make a contract with her. As for Juno, he is now given a very harsh nickname by others, just because he defeated all the Maru. The following days Athena was able to fly, which meant her influence had spread throughout the academy. No longer an anonymous girl, Athena's reputation has increased. On the contrary, the rumors about Juno have not stopped. And Juno didn't care much, just seeing Athena's smile made him happy. While sitting in class thinking, Alice suddenly approached and reminded Juno to prepare for the next class. In every class, Juno was so dumbfounded. That was the consequence of not listening to the lecture in class and having to let Alice narrate. Today the whole class will have a matchmaking session at St. Fenrir Academy for Girls. St. Fenrir Academy for Girls, a place specialized for young ladies from prestigious families. If Juno's academy is said to be a knight training academy, then the main duty of the knights is to protect them. This is one of the academy's traditions. They will have to pair up with female students from that school. Going to school together, always stay by their side to protect them like a true knight until the course ends. As for the female students at Fenrir School, they have already seen the list of students, so when the event takes place, they will see who they like. They will proactively request pairings, while the knights are much more passive. Self-motivated, Juno breathed a sigh of relief to save him the trouble of searching for each person one by one. But thinking back to his recent rumors, Juno was a bit worried about whether anyone would be willing to pair up with him. Juno led Athena through Fenrir Academy, holding her head while worrying about her rumors. In contrast to Juno, Alice seemed to be very popular with the female students here. Even Athena, when her reputation had grown far, Juno was helpless and left alone to find clues for herself. Juno accidentally bumped into two girls chatting, so she ran over to start a conversation and asked them who they wanted to be paired with. Anyone is fine as long as it's not Juno. Juno was shocked and ran away immediately before they knew his true identity as he walked away feeling sad, not expecting him to be hated to this extent. While not knowing how to resolve it, Juno discovered that there was a fight between female students. A female student was being pressured by 3 other female students. And that girl didn't seem to be afraid of anything and challenged them in return. When they reached their limit, they were annoyed and immediately summoned 2 goblins to attack her. Facing death, this girl still didn't blink even once. Juno quickly rushed forward to grab the goblin's knife and kill them. The reason he did so was because he looked at this girl. There was something very similar to his sister. In some magical way, Juno's sixth sense told him not to get involved with this girl and to find a way to escape immediately. She introduced herself as Luna, reminding Yuno that if she doesn't stay silent forever, she should introduce herself. Yuno had no choice but to solemnly bow to Luna. The whole next week, Yuno tried to go to St. Fenrir Academy, looking for someone to pair up with him, but it didn't bring any results. They all stood dozens of meters away from Yuno as if there was a barrier around him. In complete contrast to Yuno, Alice is extremely loved by everyone. They fought each other just to want Alice to be their knight. Alice was very happy to be respected by everyone so much. But she still had to refuse their request, because inside Alice there was already someone she wanted to protect. Ever since she was a child, Alice has wanted to become a sword for that person, and to achieve her goal, Alice has always tried her best, just waiting for this moment. Alice already has someone she wants to protect. Her best friend Yuno doesn't even know about this. Seeing that everyone seemed disappointed, Alice introduced Yuno to them, and as soon as she finished speaking, everyone ran away. No one can understand this pain. Yuno sadly just stood in a corner and listened to the news. Alice is one, and there is another person who is very popular with the female students named Crame. He already had people who wanted to serve him, so they were very disappointed. Everyone had such a reputation, but only Yuno, no one cared about him. Yuno scratched his head, not knowing what to do now. But at this moment Maru, sitting in a corner, spoke up to remind him. There is no need to worry because there will be a support session for students who cannot be matched. The rules are very simple. Anyone who fails in this matchmaking session will be assigned by the teacher to pair up with each other regardless of whether they want to or not. That being said, it's no different than Yuno having to pair with Inventory. If it's just him who has to pair, then it's fine. But what happens when Athena has to walk next to someone like that? Her reputation will definitely decrease. Seeing Yuno so worried, Athena could no longer stand by and watch. She called out for everyone to come and pair up with Yuno. Athena had tried so hard to help him. Yuno couldn't hide anymore. He ran out into the middle of the stands and loudly called for everyone, with a firm promise to protect them best. Sure enough, there was a girl who responded to Yuno's plea. Yuno was about to become her knight when Luna entered the stands. Luna's arrival here shocked everyone, including Alice, as soon as she entered the academy. Luna refused to participate in all of these matchmaking sessions, without delaying even a second. Alice and Crame came to worship her. Their action made the other friends immediately realize that the person they wanted to protect was Luna. Alice and Crame began to compete with each other to become Luna's knights, claiming that they were the strongest, and Luna just laughed. A strong knight would never show off his strength. Luna ignored them and called the fat Maru to come meet her, making Maru dumbfounded and unable to believe it. Thinking she was receiving lucrative benefits, Luna immediately realized that Yuno had lied about her name to escape. So describing his appearance to Alice, Alice quickly dragged Yuno to meet Luna. Luna asked Yuno to be her knight, shocking everyone. Maru quickly told her Yuno's bad stories, making Luna not care at all. She chose Yuno because she liked it. The more she looked at Yuno, the more she saw that she looked like his older sister. Not wanting to get involved with this girl, Yuno pulled Athena to act as his shield, thinking that he had chosen the person he wanted to serve. Athena also understood immediately and coordinated the performance with Yuno, but of course, she could not surpass Luna. Yuno really had no choice but had to become a knight for this girl. After securing her knight, Luna took Yuno back to meet her father, but as soon as he saw Yuno, the count angrily chased Yuno away. True to his wishes, Yuno turned around to escape, but Luna didn't let him go that easily. Luna was very stiff in front of her father, telling him that the rumors about Yuno at the academy were completely inaccurate. Furthermore, he also made a contract with a god, strong enough to protect her from attacks. But Luna's father did not listen and criticized Yuno harshly. He said that right from the moment Yuno decided to sign a contract with an unknown god, he saw that Yuno's future was no different from black. Regardless of whether Yuno was really strong or not, the count did not accept that his daughter would bring such a knight. It's okay to scold Yuno and criticize him, but when it comes to Athena, the count is wrong. Yuno interrupted them. It seemed like the count still considered him just a child. If that's the case, then Yuno asked the count to give him a chance to express himself, and he definitely wouldn't disappoint him. The count immediately accepted. Of course he would not go to war but would be another servant whom he considered the weakest. Before the match, Luna reminded Yuno not to know who his upcoming opponent was. It's best to just focus and show off all your abilities. Yuno doesn't know if his sixth sense is good or not. Looking into Luna's eyes, he felt that she completely trusted him. If so, then he must win this match, not only to retain Luna's trust but also Athena's honor. Yuno's opponent is a butler. He solemnly introduces himself as Cloud. Just an old butler, Yuno gradually intends to go easy on him. Luna recognized his intention immediately, another reminder that she wanted Yuno to show her full potential in this match. The match started and Cloud teleported behind Yuno in just a blink of an eye. Yuno still reacted in time to block his attack, but just that one attack was enough for Yuno to notice. Cloud is not weak at all, you have to be more serious like this. Yuno began to counterattack. The two sides exchanged moves, neither side willing to yield to the other. Fighting so much that even the Count had to gasp in surprise. How the hell did Yuno block all of Cloud's attacks? In a moment of distraction, Yuno was kicked straight in the chest by Mr. Cloud and fell down. Just as Luna thought the match was over, she denied it. She stood up and walked towards Yuno. In terms of titles, Yuno was now her knight. And Luna does not allow Yuno to fail before anyone without her permission. If you understand, then quickly stand up. Luna smiled so brightly that Yuno was startled. He had to stand up right away before Luna realized something bad. Well, let's get a little more serious. Yuno reminds Butler Cloud to try to avoid this move. Yuno threw the spear straight at Mr. Cloud, making him pale. The destructive power of this move was too great. Even if Mr. Cloud could avoid it, he still felt that he was completely no match for Yuno if he was so serious that he would directly admit defeat. Calling him a poor servant was entirely the Count's deception. In fact, Butler Cloud was the strongest knight under him. Defeating Cloud was enough to prove that Yuno was capable of protecting the Count's beloved daughter, but the Count was still upset and left. So from now on, Yuno has officially become Luna's knight. It doesn't stop there, he also has to live in her house again. A lovely little girl ran over and was curious about who Yuno was. This question should have been asked by Yuno. After learning that Yuno was Luna's knight, she burst out laughing. As expected, Luna's younger sister was exactly like her, no different at all. A while ago Luna brought Yuno to this room and asked Yuno to wait here for her before leaving. I don't know where she went, but it's been a while since I've seen Luna back. I turned back to look at her younger sister Luna, who was still smiling so cutely. Yuno started to wonder if Luna was this cute when she was little. The very welcoming girl directly brought water to invite Yuno, then sat on his lap to play. This also surprised Yuno, because she was still young like her. His father never let him go out to receive guests like this when he was young, but he already knew the etiquette. Truly a member of the Count's family. Right now, the girl spoke up saying that she felt something very different coming from Yuno. Normally she is very afraid of strange guests, but for Yuno, it gives her a very familiar feeling and is not afraid at all. Suddenly the little girl jumped down and asked Yuno to carry her. If he liked, Yuno would lift her up into the sky. It didn't stop there, she also asked Yuno to hug her tightly. In this respect, Yuno had to refuse her. As the Count's daughter, if someone misunderstands, he will lose his head. And this girl is also very scheming and threatens Yuno that if she doesn't hug her, she will tell her sister that Yuno likes lowly girls like me. Yuno had no choice but to follow her wishes. At this moment, Luna entered the room and saw this whole scene. The girl turned around immediately, ran to hug her older sister and whispered. Of course Luna didn't fall for her trick. It was a teasing show she made to trick Yuno. Now it's time to introduce herself. The girl happily identified herself as Elise, the Count's second daughter and Luna's younger sister. Yes, it's really cute, but Yuno is determined not to fall for the trick a second time. Luna then led Athena into the room, because Athena was Yuno's goddess, so she couldn't stay too far from him. Now Yuno had to stay at Luna's house. That's why Luna arranged a room for Athena to stay here with him. Next, Luna's mother entered the room. Yuno quickly greeted her. In fact, even Mrs. Char couldn't believe it. Luna went to choose her own knight, because up until now she had always refused this, but it was a good thing, so Mrs. Char was not as strict as the Count. Next, Mrs. Char looked at Athena and exclaimed that Athena was indeed beautiful as rumored. If the goddess who signed the contract with her were present, she would probably be somewhat jealous of Athena. Mrs. Char also signed a contract with a god. Yuno was a bit surprised by that. Goddess Astaroth, the god of beauty and love. Right from the moment she met Yuno, she felt that Mrs. Char was not like a normal person and realized that she had signed a contract with such a famous god. There's no one who doesn't know Astaroth, but mentioning her name makes Yuno suddenly feel uncomfortable. Turning around, he saw Athena trembling in fear. A crack appeared right in the room. Power began to radiate from the crack, making Yuno a bit wary and quickly reminded everyone to step back. From the crack a beautiful girl came out. It was the goddess Astaroth. She came here because of their discussion. The pressure emanating from the goddess Astaroth was so great that Yuno was somewhat overwhelmed. It had been a long time since Astaroth had visited Mrs. Char. This time, he came so suddenly that Yuno thought it must have something to do with Athena. Already, while she was trembling, Yuno was about to encourage Athena and turned around to see Astaroth standing in front of them. As soon as she looked, she knew that Athena was an unknown goddess plus the name Athena. The name Yuno gave Athena made it difficult for Astaroth to understand how an unknown goddess could sign a contract with Yuno. She moved closer to Yuno, curious as to what the person inside Yuno was like. This question from Astaroth makes Yuno even more confused. He is just him, what else is there? Yuno's answer made Astaroth a bit uncomfortable. Let's just say that she left. Suddenly she turned around and fired a powerful palm at Yuno. Yuno already knew this, so he raised his leg and kicked her powerful palm. Astaroth's power is so great that Yuno has to exert all his strength to deflect her attack. The fact that Yuno was able to block his attack made Astaroth's eyes widen in surprise. Then he burst out laughing and acknowledged what Yuno had achieved, reminding everyone that there was no need to worry. If Yuno has become a knight for Mrs. Char's daughter, Astaroth wants to test his strength a bit. Astaroth walked up to Mrs. Char and praised that she was indeed her daughter. Luna really has a great eye. Astaroth is sure Yuno will become a great knight in the future. Just coming here today, she said goodbye to everyone and left, hoping to see Yuno again someday. Witnessing this entire scene made Yuno have a very confusing feeling. From the moment he met her, he knew that Astaroth was not his usual goddess. But it's probably just because you're too sensitive, because the goddess Astaroth signed a contract with Mrs. Char and personally came here to check on her daughter's knight, so she's probably not a bad person. Yuno only hoped that his vain thoughts just now were just because he was too sensitive. Yuno bent down and quickly encouraged Athena, but even so, the goddess Astaroth's promise to meet again was still too unusual. For a moment Yuno thought she wasn't a goddess. Meanwhile, Astaroth returned to his domain and met a man who looked very powerful. There was one thing that Astaroth himself came here to ask him to explain to her. Astaroth mentioned the lost angels, wanting to know exactly what they were. For all she knew, the nameless gods were gods born in the human world. The lowest class is also the time when Astaroth and this guy were born. But unlike the nameless gods, she and he are both stronger than those nameless gods. Seeing him stay silent made Astaroth even more certain he was hiding something from himself. So she shot her palm directly at him. This action of hers made him angry and punched Astaroth straight in the face, reminding her to know her destiny. Astaroth knew this because he was the demon lord Satan, the leader of the demons in hell, then immediately left, leaving Astaroth behind with a bunch of confusing questions. But she doesn't care anymore at this point, because she has found a very interesting toy. It's Yuno who relies on him. Astaroth plans to find the answer himself, not bad at all. Until he learned how to read, Yuno threw himself into reading books, trying to find the god who gave him ultimate power, but in the books there was no mention of a god named Zeus. Remember, at that time, only Yuno saw him. As soon as he met Zeus, he asked Yuno to make a contract with him. Yuno, unfortunately, had doubts but agreed. Looking back, Yuno regretted it. He should have repented of his origin at that time. There is one point that makes Yuno always remember when he made the contract with Zeus. He looked very sad. It is still unclear why he was like that. While thinking, his father came in and called him to practice swordplay. As he called, he expressed disgust and couldn't believe that his son was such an incompetent and useless guy. Of course, Yuno doesn't care about what his father criticizes, because he doesn't have time to think about it. The person who practiced swordplay with him was his eldest sister Rei. Completely different from her father, Rei cared very much for Yuno. During the sword practice session, even though Yuno showed that he was weak, Rei didn't mind and instead tried to encourage him to try harder. Just after practicing for a while, Yuno asked Rei for permission to quit, citing that she was the brightest sword in the kingdom. That's why Rei didn't have time to spend with a weak person like him. Hearing these words made Rei startled and quickly ran to hug Yuno because she thought Yuno hated her. Of course, that was just Yuno's reason for skipping practice. The real reason was because every time he practiced, the power that Zeus gave him seemed to explode at any moment. Yuno had to try to suppress it, but to no avail. The radiating power shot straight to Rei's face. Luckily Yuno calmed down in time and ran to block her attack. A few days later, Ray ran to his father's room when he heard that his father was planning to expel Yuno from the clan. Being kicked out of the clan was a great opportunity for Yuno. He really likes this because the power inside him is uncontrollable. One day it will definitely harm those around him. Yuno was about to leave quietly when Ray did something that startled him. Ray reminded his father a while ago that Yuno is a kid with more ability than him. Yuno can never be an incompetent kid in the family. If his father dared to kick Yuno out of the family, Ray wouldn't want to live anymore. His father also wanted to believe this, but no matter how hard he tried, Yuno would still be the same. So Ray made an offer: as long as Yuno successfully passed the Fenrir Academy's sword test, he would be allowed to stay in the clan. If she fails, Ray will spend her life paying for her sins to maintain the honor of her sister Ray, whom Yuno had to work hard to join this academy. It was already morning. Yuno woke up dreamily in the Flame family's manor, very leisurely, unlike when he stayed in his family. Because the distance from the Flame family to the school is very close, it will be much more convenient to go to school. Plus the fact that Athena is right next to Yuno's room, it would be perfect if Elise didn't think of his room as a playground. Let's ignore this girl. Yuno sat up and prepared her things to go to school. Elise also woke up right after. She was curious if Yuno liked her, just a simple question to please Elise. Yuno did not hesitate to admit that he liked her, but Yuno once again fell into Elise's trap. The girl had the magic of sound. Everything he just said echoed throughout the family estate. The count heard this and immediately took up his sword and rushed to punish Yuno. In times like this, Luna was the only one who could help him. As soon as she entered the school gate, Luna was already the focus of everyone's attention, which is only natural because she is the eldest daughter of the Flame family, one of the 4 largest families in the country. Enrolling at Fenrir Academy is also always at the top of his grades, a perfect person in the eyes of others that others admire. Of course that's just the surface. On the underside there are still many people who are jealous and hate Luna. It will be difficult to balance this. While thinking, Athena leaned close to Yuno. She had the feeling that recently the number of people looking at her had increased. Even if they looked because they admired Athena, it was still too embarrassing and Athena couldn't stand it. Putting that aside, the truth is that Athena's name has spread far and wide, which is what Yuno aimed for. Only now did Yuno feel that the decision to make a contract with Athena that day was not a wrong decision. Athena needs to go to the place of prayer to say goodbye to Yuno and leave first, and Yuno also needs to return to her classroom. Right now he saw Alice standing with Ayn. It seemed like Alice had become Ayn's knight. Yuno thought Alice had known Ayn before, but it wasn't like Alice had only met Ayn at the matchmaking party that day. The reason Alice chose to serve Ayn was because Ayn had previously invited Yuno to become his knight. The class started. Mr. Soleil walked into the class and asked his classmates to submit applications to join the joint training camp. What the hell is a training camp? Yuno is starting to have many questions. Alice is also at a loss for words with her friends, and doesn't listen to lectures in class. Today is the application deadline, but Yuno is just now starting to write. This is a training session with her master, which means that if she participates, Yuno will have to go with Luna. But that was not a normal training session. Their mission would be to survive 3 days and 2 nights in the sacred beast forest Fenrir. Hearing this made Yuno turn pale and quickly ran down to ask the teacher not to participate. But Teacher Soleil knew Yuno hadn't discussed it with his employer yet, so he gave him a deadline to write an application. However, not listening to the lecture until now and not going to class is unacceptable. Yuno was forced to participate in this training session. After all, Yuno returned and apologized profusely to Mistress Luna without her permission and made the decision on his own. Luna didn't mind at all because she had already intended to participate in this training session. Luna herself has never participated in any training sessions before. It will be fun. Luna laughed. While discussing important matters, little Elise kept teasing Yuno, forcing Luna to speak up and remind Elise to go out and play later. In order to not make Elise sad, Yuno very gently reminded Elise to pick her up and put her on his lap to sit well. Next was the matter of the count. Yuno was afraid that he would not accept Luna to participate in such dangerous training. Regarding this, Luna is sure he will let her go, because she has already asked Mrs. Char's permission. Seeing how much fun they were talking about going out, Elise also asked to go along. Of course Luna won't agree. Yuno has to remind her once again that this trip will be very dangerous. Yuno is very afraid that he won't be able to protect her. It turned out that this was what Yuno was worried about. Luna immediately laughed about this, but she was not afraid because Luna was sure that Yuno would protect her. And then the day of the event arrived. Yuno went down to the river to catch fish, but there was a little girl sitting on the shore eating his fish. The girl ate deliciously. Yuno began to wonder where she came from. Her home was probably in this forest. Yuno kindly reminded her that this forest is very dangerous and it's best to go home quickly. But the girl ignored and asked Yuno for more fish. After all, Yuno gave all the fish he caught to her. I turned around and saw that the girl was gone, but there was no need to worry about anything. Yuno packed his things and returned to camp. Being welcomed by Athena was not bad at all. Just now, Luna and Athena encountered a very large magical beast, but it only observed them from afar and had almost no intention of attacking them. According to Athena's feeling that that beast was the holy beast in this forest, Yuno quickly checked the magic barrier. There was no damage at all, so why did that holy beast appear for them to see? Luckily it didn't attack, otherwise Miss Luna would have been in danger. Let's leave this aside for now. Yuno was preparing to make dinner when Luna stopped her. This is camping. If Yuno is left alone to do it all, then what is camping? Luna and Athena worked together to cook. Yuno just went to prepare the wood stove. Right at that moment he saw Alice and Mistress Ain. They also planned to set up camp nearby, because other places had too many people, making them feel uncomfortable at all. Seeing Luna and Athena cooking together made Alice a little worried and gently reminded Yuno. It looks like they are working very skillfully, but are they sure they know how to cook? Talking about it also makes Yuno curious. It seems like Luna has never cooked before. They talked to each other, but Luna's ears were so sharp that she heard everything. Feel like I'm bothering them. Alice was about to take Ain away but was held back by Luna. If she had already arrived, then she would stay and enjoy dinner with them for fun. Right at this moment, Krame's friend also came here, performing rituals with Luna, but she didn't care about these rituals at all. So Kareem turned to introduce himself to Yuno. They had met at a matchmaking session before but hadn't had a chance to introduce themselves. If it's already done, Yuno invites Krame to stay and dine with them. That night, we all enjoyed Luna's super salty grilled fish. We almost choked when we ate it, but we were afraid it would make Luna sad. Yuno and Krame still had to praise each other. There was something unusual. Luna was about to try it, but Yuno and Krame grabbed it, ate it all, and ran away. At the end of the meal, the boys and the girls went to take a bath. During this time, Krame opened up a little to Yuno. Krame admitted that when Luna chose Yuno as her own knight, he was very disappointed. Krame has always wondered why Luna chose Yuno, until today Krame has the answer. The truth is that Yuno is not as incompetent as rumored, he just deliberately appears that way. Yuno changed his face and declared to Krame that from now on he would no longer act like that. Because Yuno is not only Luna's knight, Yuno's main goal is to make Athena famous. Krame laughed at this. If that was the case then he could safely entrust Luna to Yuno. Krame jumped up from the bathing pool and asked Yuno to fight him so that Krame himself could see Yuno's true power. That night, while sleeping, Yuno kept remembering Krame's proposal, a star match with the second-ranked student in the school, behind only Alice. Yuno is sure that his abilities are not average, but this match seems a bit meaningless to Yuno. Yuno had intended to disagree, but remembered the respect Krame had for him. Yuno had to think again. Yuno turned around and tried to sleep a bit and then fight, but on the left was Luna and on the right was Athena. How should two beautiful girls sleep next to each other like this? Inappropriate thoughts began to appear in Yuno's head. Well, let's go meet Krame and fight now to relieve the pressure. Yuno put on his clothes and carried his spear outside when Luna asked him curiously where he was going. This made Yuno startled, wondering if she knew he was peeping just now. It's not okay to stay any longer. Yuno asked permission and quickly left. Krame had already arrived at the meeting point and was waiting for him. As for the rules of the match, it was very simple to fight until one side admitted defeat. Yuno understands, but I still have to remind Krame, you are not weak at all. Krame understood that very well, but Krame himself was eager to fight Yuno right now. Krame picked up his sword to fight Yuno. The battle began. Krame stepped forward, but just as he was about to get close to Yuno, Yuno's spear stopped in front of his neck. This was the first attack. Krame continued to attack. Yuno circled behind him, still stopping the spear in front of his neck. This is the second attack that stops before hitting, making Krame a bit angry, reminding Yuno that if he doesn't hit, he will not accept defeat. Yuno understood, then launched a third attack. This time it wasn't a single attack but many attacks coming from different directions. If this was a real battle, Krame would have died and Krame would have admitted his defeat. Meanwhile, the goddess Astaroth was also present in this forest. She called on all the magical beasts gathered at her feet to use her magic to stimulate their bloodthirsty instincts. As for Crame and Yuno, after the match, they sat and chatted with each other. Crame mentioned the student council and advised Yuno to join. Every year the school will select the 3 best people to join the student council. Crame and Alice have already appeared, now there's only one more left. Many people are aiming for it. To win it, Yuno needs to participate in a competitive match. It was a bit complicated, so Yuno planned to think about it later. Right now the forest shook violently. Teacher Soleil quickly sent out a signal to inform everyone that an incident had occurred in the forest. To ensure safety, the teacher asked all students to gather immediately. Alice also quickly ran to call Yuno and Crame back. As far as she knew, there were many magical beasts rushing here. While running back to Yuno, he felt very confused. Why the hell did the demon beast suddenly get so crazy? He felt there was a very dangerous magical energy in this forest, and Yuno was sure it was from the goddess Astaroth. While controlling the Astaroth monsters, she also paid attention to Yuno. The night was still long and she had high expectations for his upcoming performance. Yuno and 2 friends dealt with all the monsters and ran back to Teacher Soleil, who set up a protective barrier for the students. They will temporarily resist for a period of time. Suddenly a ray of light cuts across the sky and collides strongly above. As the holy beast Fenrir came to fight Astaroth, it was she who made the demonic beast so agitated. And as Fenrir is the master of the forest, he cannot let her do whatever she wants. Yuno quickly ran back to check if Miss Luna was still okay, then asked Teacher Soleil about the blue light in the sky. According to the information he learned from the capital, it was a war between the holy beast Fenrir and the goddess Astaroth. He has already informed the royal family and they have mobilized the royal guard and the priest Ray to come here to help them. This makes Yuno even more certain of her guess. It was she who caused this chaos. Astaroth confronts the holy beast Fenrir, but it seems she is too familiar with the holy beast, just playing with it. Below, the students were trying their best to cheer her on, which made her happily laugh and show off to the holy beast. The power of goddesses is based on their popularity. In the eyes of everyone she is their protector. As for the holy beast, why doesn't anyone call its name? Even Master Soleil sees it that way. Only now Yuno feels like he's a bit too sensitive. The goddess Astaroth is someone who is admired by everyone, so why the hell do he have the feeling that she is the one who caused this disaster? Yuno suddenly remembered the day he met Athena. Back then she was constantly despised by others. Because she was just a nameless goddess, Yuno's feelings were not entirely correct. It was Astaroth who caused this, taking advantage of everyone's trust. Yuno was about to call Athena when she suddenly approached and hugged Yuno and whispered in his ear, hoping that Yuno would save the holy beast. This forest was bound by a curse in the past. And from then until now, the holy beast alone has had to protect this forest. Athena immediately burst into tears. She could feel the holy beast crying. There was no time to hesitate anymore. Yuno was about to go fight when he turned around to discover that more and more demonic beasts were rushing here, and Teacher Soleil was trying his best to create a barrier to protect everyone. The situation is not good at all. If this continues, sooner or later he will run out of magic power. If he left now, there would be no one left to protect Miss Luna and Athena. While wondering what to do, Luna spoke up. Luna believes that in times like these, as her knight, Yuno must definitely know what she needs to do. This is exactly what Yuno needs. A word of encouragement is enough to make Yuno seethe with will to kill a god. That moment has come with the power that Athena gave him. Yuno is determined to eliminate Astaroth today to protect everyone. The battle in the sky is taking place extremely chaotic. The 2 gods fight hard with the desire to eliminate each other. This was the first time everyone had seen such a scene. At the Royal Observation Tower, they still had not determined what the holy beast Fenrir's purpose was. In Fenrir's biography, it is an evil wolf, wanting to devour everything in sight. The senior leaders and gods all agreed that the holy beast Fenrir would definitely be a danger to them. Although I don't know if it's true or not, at this moment when the goddess Astaroth confronted the holy beast Fenrir, the holy beast Fenrir certainly became the enemy of the whole world. Alice quickly ran to Lune. She couldn't understand why Luna let Yuno go into such danger. Luna also agreed because she knew that stopping Yuno would not bring any benefit. Yuno said goodbye to everyone with a bright smile, which made Alice freeze for a few seconds. This was the first time she saw Yuno have this attitude, because usually Yuno always ignores everything and acts like an idiot. But now Yuno's demeanor is extremely confident. Luna spoke up and reminded Alice not to worry about anything. She was sure that Yuno would return, because in the order given by Luna, she did not ask Yuno to die. Even Maru saw that. Even though in his heart, Maru still considers Yuno to be just an idiot, it's not enough to commit suicide. Seeing this, Crame also ran to encourage Alice. For a moment Alice lost her composure. Yuno was getting into such a fierce fight. But no one seemed worried about him, everyone was still very calm. Crame too, if he hasn't had a duel with Yuno, he will definitely show contempt for Yuno. There is no guarantee that Yuno will be able to intervene to stop that progress, but there is one thing that Crame is sure of, Yuno will return. Yuno tried her best to focus on the battle. From now on just one mistake would be enough to break Yuno's bones to pieces. Yuno's main goal is to save the holy beast Fenrir, and to do that, the goddess Astaroth must surely die. But what if you kill the goddess Astaroth? If everyone knows, your whole family will have to disappear together. You have to think about how to retreat first. Right now, Yuno suddenly realized that he was being too confident, thinking about solving the problem later before even fighting. This confidence is necessary and Yuno believes he can kill the goddess Astaroth. This is also a good opportunity for him to test the power that Zeus gave him, see how powerful it is. Astaroth was starting to get bored. She was about to destroy the holy beast Fenrir, so this was Yuno's chance. With all her strength, Yuno rushed up to approach Astaroth and pulled her to another corner. Everyone else was surprised by this scene. No matter who it is, according to Teacher Soleil's observations, the person emitting this blue power is even stronger than the holy beast Fenrir, on the same level as the goddess Astaroth. I don't know who was involved in this battle, but according to the speculation of the teacher and the royal guard, this must have been an unknown god and that person attacked the goddess Astaroth. Yuno grabbed her head and pushed her to the ground. Not only was she not angry with the goddess Astaroth, she also seemed very happy to see Yuno again. Just now it was just a small attack, now it's the main force of the monsters. They brought a powerful army to attack Master Soleil's barrier. Since the day he met Yuno, there hasn't been a moment where Astaroth hasn't missed him, now they've met again. There's still a lot of time left. Astaroth advised Yuno to calm down a bit, but how could Yuno calm down when the monsters going crazy like that was completely caused by her? Teacher Soleil cannot create a barrier alone, he needs Alice's help. Astaroth had a purpose to cause this. The demonic beasts running amok in everyone's subconscious were due to the holy beast Fenrir. And if the holy beast Fenrir falls tonight by Yuno's hand, history will be rewritten and Yuno will become a god on par with her. No, that's not true, Yuno denies this. He came here to stop her according to Athena's wishes. Fear and anxiety enveloped Yuno's body. This was Astaroth's goal, she began using her abilities to hypnotize him. The scene around Yuno changed dramatically as he could see the naked body of a goddess of beauty. Anyone who saw this body became fascinated by her beauty, but that was just other people. Yuno immediately pushed Astaroth away. He was completely not hypnotized by her beauty because she was not his type of girl. Then there was a spear aimed at her stomach. Astaroth was startled and quickly escaped and flew into the sky, then burst out laughing. As expected, she had guessed correctly. Yuno is indeed an interesting young man, but it wouldn't be fun if those hypnotic tricks worked. If magic didn't work, then we'd have to fight directly, and Astaroth was sure that tonight would be a lot of fun. Astaroth's smile became more and more distorted. Yuno felt a very evil flow of magic flowing out of her body. Yuno's suspicions were confirmed. Goddess Astaroth in everyone's eyes was not as good as they thought. While Alice was trying her best to barricade herself until Yuno returned, she could not fall. But human strength has a limit and Alice has reached that limit and she can no longer use magic power. Alice collapsed and burst into tears. Once again she couldn't do anything. Although she tried very hard to be able to stand next to Miss Luna, in the end Yuno was the one who achieved it. But when studying at the academy, Alice was always the leader. Alice didn't understand why she achieved that title. At this moment, Alice remembered Yuno and burst into tears even more. She was about to die before realizing that only when she was with Yuno could she be safe. A voice spoke up, startling Alice. It was Yuno's older sister who had come here. The Holy Sword Ray and the Royal Knights as ordered came here to help them. The demonic beasts were absolutely no match for Ray. Ray happily sat down and encouraged Alice not to bother doing anything, because she had done very well and the next tasks would be shouldered by her and her team. Ray, the strongest swordsman in the kingdom, has come to reinforce everyone. With her here, they are all safe. Alice ran towards Ray and mentioned Yuno. Ray just smirked and pinched Alice's cheek and advised her not to worry. To be honest, she herself didn't have anything to worry about in this matter. Next, Ray bowed to Athena. Ray had heard that his brother had made a contract with Athena, along with a thank you for taking care of his brother. The more I looked at Ray, the more I felt how adorable she was, smiling brightly and thinking that she was my younger brother. It was truly so lucky to meet Athena. Ray's eyes met Luna's eyes. Ray knew that Yuno had followed and served Luna, but Ray still had to remind Luna that Yuno was her younger brother and she would only lend it to Luna until he graduated. Luna just smiled and replied that time was enough to make her and Yuno much closer. The two people quarreled, making their classmates a bit confused. The atmosphere seemed a bit like jealousy. A thought appeared in Alice's mind when she witnessed this scene. She and Yuno have been friends since they were children. Now it is not difficult to attack his feelings. Alice is sure the other two are thinking the same thing, so let's leave this matter here. Sister Ray quickly returned to her main task. It was time to show her younger brother how strong her sister was. Ray put all his strength into the sword and then used a powerful blow to wipe out the monsters. That was just the opening blow of the battle. Now it's time for the real fight. Ray mobilized his teammates to rush out of the protective magic layer to fight them. Meanwhile, Yuno was still having to clash with Astaroth. Thinking about it, Yuno still didn't understand what she meant when Astaroth said he would become a god tonight. She is worshipped by many people, is a god that no one knows. But why did she do these things? It was clear that the holy beast Fenrir was not at all scary in their imagination, yet she incited it to this forest. Surely she's just an evil god. Let's leave that aside and you'll find out why later. Above all, this goddess Astaroth is very strong. If you don't focus on it, you will die. Yuno swung his spear and attacked her fiercely. No matter why she was worshipped as a goddess, just know she was a bad god. Yuno finally managed to get past her. The holy beast Fenrir stood outside and watched Yuno's battle. This would be a lesson for him. Surely Yuno is not strong enough to confront Astaroth. She is currently being constantly pressured by Yuno. And she dodged all of Yuno's attacks, very impressed with this performance. However, this was not enough to defeat her. Astaroth grabbed Yuno's spear and threw it away. Even Yuno was thrown away. As soon as she landed, she took another hit. Yuno tried to resist. He roughly understood her strength and now he just needed to focus on trying until he surpassed her. Yuno continued to attack Astaroth, taking advantage of the rock that Yuno stuck the spear into to create a new weapon to hit her. Astaroth lightly dodged to the side and shot Yuno. It was all part of Yuno's calculations. He bent down and this would be his chance to kill Astaroth. Yuno's spear rushed forward and was about to touch her neck when Yuno stopped when he heard Astaroth's words. In the last match, Yuno proved his abilities. Now Astaroth recognizes him as his equal. Yuno held the spear firmly and his hands were shaking. This was the perfect opportunity for him to kill her. But if he chooses wrong, the consequences will be very serious. All Yuno wants to do is protect Athena. Helping her become the most famous goddess is the path that Yuno has outlined. Until now, he had never interfered with anyone's dreams, but the first time he met Athena, Yuno felt that her situation was very similar to his own. Two people who are both despised by others come together and strive to achieve their own goals, and one day everything will be okay. And it was going very well until Astaroth appeared, not knowing what to do, but she kept blabbering in Yuno's ear. Astaroth laughed out loud. Since she was born, she had never felt so grateful to a god. When they gave her a toy that she would never get tired of, Astaroth was about to go crazy and extended his hand to invite Yuno to join his team. And prove to the world your strength right now. Right here, Yuno was angry. He denied what the hell she just said. Yuno never accepted himself as she was, threw away the spear and focused all his strength to punch her. But right at this moment, a ray of light shined down. Yuno could not react in time and almost died. Fortunately, the holy beast Fenrir rushed to save him in time. The ray of light gradually disappeared, and within it was the demon lord Seda. He came here to stop Astaroth, because she was violating the treaty of the underworld. Yuno was saved by the divine beast Fenrir but still doesn't understand what just happened. Fenrir had the kindness to remind Yuno not to try to fight the guy who just appeared. Currently, Yuno doesn't have enough strength to fight him. Yuno just needs to feel it to know this. His power was too great, and he wouldn't have any chance, but the longer he was in this situation, the more Yuno missed himself. He immediately jumped out of Fenrir's mouth and ran to them. There were some things he needed to discuss with him. Meanwhile, Astaroth is still arguing with Satan. What the hell is the pact? Now the only one who is hindering him is him. Astaroth made the right decision to go to the human world to meet an unknown goddess, plus a brat with heavenly power. But those two people combined together made Astaroth certain that the so-called end had not yet come. But now Satan has come to ruin her joy. Astaroth cannot accept this. She pulled out the evil eye skill to suppress Satan. Of course, it was just a threat to show off her prestige, but it had absolutely no effect on Satan at all. Satan gently reminded Astaroth to know her fate. What she needed was not yet time to get it. Then he turned to look at Yuno, calling him the clown he hated the most, people like Yuno who bothered him. And Yuno wasn't even qualified enough to talk to him, her own strength was still out of control, yet she dared to rush to death like this. Everything Yuno did to him was just a farce. Satan told Yuno a few more things. He was just a pawn in the hands of the gods and Yuno would never be able to stop them. Yuno's face turned pale at these words, which made Astaroth burst out laughing. As expected, you are truly an interesting kid. Satan said these words to make Yuno think, in any case or situation, if Yuno does not accept his filial piety, then he will forever be just a useless person with no value. But he still hoped that Yuno would not disappoint them and then turned and left with Astaroth. Astaroth's departure also means that the incident has ended. Yuno said goodbye to the holy beast Fenrir and returned to his friend. However, Yuno's goal has not yet been achieved. Astaroth is only a part, the rest is in everyone's thoughts. They still consider Fenrir to be an evil holy beast. To protect it, you will have to do a lot of things. Fenrir chased after Yuno and asked him to jump on its back quickly. On your side, the demonic beasts had all run away. Everything was over. Once Yuno returned, Rei grabbed him and hugged him. She then wondered about the dog walking next to him. She couldn't let them know that it was the holy beast, so Yuno had to answer differently. This short meeting only lasted until now because Rei still had things to do. This time the students are in danger because the holy beast Fenrir caused everything. That's why Rei and his teammates must subdue it. This is a royal decree issued. Fenrir intended to return with Yuno in this giant body, but Yuno did not allow it because Fenrir's reputation was tainted when fighting with Astaroth. And Yuno didn't want to see Fenrir being accused of a crime when there wasn't any crime. Yuno assured Fenrir that he would clear up all those misunderstandings for him. Yuno quickly left but Fenrir chased after him. He knew that after the recent battle, Yuno's magic power had been exhausted. Both of us have each other's problems, so why don't we lean on each other and stand up together? Yuno had no reason to refuse Fenrir's offer, so he returned with him to meet everyone. Returning to the present after hearing Rei's statements, Yuno himself couldn't understand how a sane person like Rei would believe those rumors. Yuno angrily shouted and affirmed that Fenrir was not the one who caused this. He was about to say Astaroth's name when Rei stopped him and whispered in Yuno's ear that he had grown up. And she can't protect Yuno forever. The next words Yuno says will put him at a disadvantage. Only Rei understands Yuno's mood. Although there is no evidence to accuse Fenrir of being the one who caused this chaos, there is a fact that from ancient times until now Fenrir has always been considered a predator. In the minds of the most powerful people in the royal family, everyone assumes that Fenrir is a threat. And they always want to destroy it, but even if there is evidence, the royal decree has already been issued and the royal decision has already been made. Moreover, it also has the consent of a god. In this world his word is absolute. Deciding to eliminate a holy beast, even though there is no evidence, is still called a god. This is just a story that people embellish. The gods are not quite as good as people think. Yuno's hand trembled, trying to figure out how to protect the holy beast Fenrir without causing harm to Athena and Miss Luna. Right now, a commander came forward to ask Yuno. He heard his conversation with Rei. If it wasn't the divine beast Fenrir, then who was causing this chaos? Yuno was about to declare that it was the god Astaroth when Rei spoke up first, claiming that the person was the blue meteor. It was the source of blue light that intervened in the battle between the holy beast Fenrir and Astaroth. Maru also spoke up and mocked Yuno, jumping to his death to make god Astaroth have to take time to save him. Hearing these words made Yuno even more disappointed. Everyone believed that Astaroth was a good person. How can you alone be able to prove it to them? If this is the case, you have to purify all of their thinking. Yuno suddenly remembered the holy beast Fenrir. If his intuition was not wrong, Fenrir could help him with this matter. Yuno quickly pulled Fenrir aside, asking him to make a contract with him. He needed Fenrir's power to carry out his plan. Currently everyone believes that it was Fenrir who caused the chaos. Even if they were told that it was Astaroth who caused it, they still wouldn't believe it. That's why there must be another person who confesses this crime, and Yuno will disguise himself as that person. Yuno is very confident that he can do it. Well, if Yuno wants to try, Fenrir won't stop him from doing anything. Yuno asked Soleil for permission to take Fenrir back to the forest, which was just an excuse for him to hide. Find a corner where no one is around to discuss the plan with Fenrir, but Luna sees through it. It would be better if Fenrir stayed at her house, even though her father, the count, did not like animals. Yuno immediately refused. It was too dangerous, he still had things to do. And Luna knew what Yuno's intentions were. She advised Yuno to give up because he had stopped the gods' war. That was enough, there was no need to do more, but Yuno was still determined. Luna knows she can't stop Yuno, she only hopes when Yuno returns. He was still his knight, which surprised Yuno quite a bit. With all my honor, Yuno promises that after returning, he will still be her loyal knight and nothing will change. Yuno's words reassured Luna and she left. Yuno quickly led Fenrir to the stream, concentrating as much as possible because from now on he would play the role of Blue Meteor. The mastermind of the chaos this time must act really well because he will have to face Rei and the most powerful knights in the kingdom. The contract with Fenrir began. He didn't know how Fenrir felt during his conversation with Rei. Just knowing that Fenrir's reputation has been distorted by the goddess Astaroth makes everyone believe that Fenrir is the cause of this disaster. To change that, Yuno needs to perform well. The contract has been fulfilled. Fenrir gave Yuno a number of necessary skills, including a skill called Swap that allows Yuno to change his face into any face he imagines in his mind as long as Yuno has enough mana to maintain it. That skill. Of course, only Yuno's face will change, but his mind and mana will remain the same. It would be very dangerous for Yuno if someone with high-level skills dared to pay attention to him. That was enough for Yuno. He began to imagine the face he wanted. First, blue hair similar to Athena's, beautiful eyes similar to Alice's, and a handsome face like Krame's. Finally, for the outfit, Yuno chose something a bit wild. In terms of body size, Yuno needs to have a tall body. He immediately thought of cool black wings like Satan. Everything was completed. Yuno asked Fenrir for permission to leave first, flying and looking at the sky for a bit. The weather today is so beautiful, especially the moon, that anyone who looks at them has to exclaim. That's how this world works, but no one knows it's just a fake. That's why someone needs to stand up and shout at them to tell them the truth. If no one dares to do it, Yuno will do it. He didn't care about what Astaroth or Satan said, he only believed in his own decisions. Yuno has arrived at the Knights' camp. It's time to write a completely new story for the world. Rei discovered Yuno and pulled out her sword to force Yuno to confess his name. He chose for himself a very cool name, Noah. Along with the assertion that he was the one causing the chaos this time, this would surprise everyone and make them pull out their swords and attack him. That was just Yuno's imaginary debut. Noah is a name that Yuno read in a book of fairy tales. The reason he chose it was simply because it was very cool. All Yuno needs to do is show absolute strength before the royal knights. When it was time to land, Yuno started flying but somehow he couldn't control his body. How can I land now? Yuno was confused. Then he landed with his head straight down, creating an explosion that startled everyone. So Yuno's plan to appear cool has gone bankrupt. Now the only thing left to do is try to act really well. The knights, thinking Yuno was an enemy, immediately took up their swords and rushed to attack him. Yuno changed her face and released a bit of power that threatened them. This power startled even Rei. She quickly stopped all the knights. She felt that they were absolutely no match for Yuno, so she told them all to step back. Yuno must thank her for looking at her with these eyes. A pair of eyes filled with murderous intent made Yuno no longer need to hesitate to continue playing this role. Rei believes that it is Blue Meteor, the blue light that appeared in the middle of the battle of the goddess Astaroth, reporting to them that this person is as strong as the goddess Astaroth. But when Rei faced her, she didn't feel any of the scary magic coming out, so she had to check again first. Just mentioning it makes Yuno startled and remember that all along, in order to play the role of a useless student, he always sealed his power. It seemed like this was the time for him to release his power. Yuno released energy that made all the knights turn pale. Now they believed he was Blue Meteor. Seeing them so scared made Yuno laugh even more. Continuing to act, thinking they only had a little power, scared them. How could they hunt the holy beast Fenrir like this? Commander Garnos called Yuno a devil. Yuno gently approached him, thinking that the one who was the devil here was not him. Tell him he is a stupid and arrogant person, trying to kill the holy beast Fenrir who tried his best to save the students. Along with a firm declaration that he was the one causing the chaos this time. Mr. Garnos still didn't believe it and still thought that it was Fenrir who was that person. His stubbornness made Yuno a little annoyed. He grabbed his head and reminded him not to make him uncomfortable anymore. Seeing Yuno threatening her subordinate, Rei could no longer stand by and ran out to stop Yuno. She accepted Yuno as a god, asking permission to know his name. Yuno had already chosen the name Noah for himself, but why the hell couldn't he say that name at this moment? The name Zeus began to appear in Yuno's head. It seemed like it was forcing him to say that name. No, Yuno does not accept this. He must control the situation and cannot let others see him as a pawn. With all his determination, Yuno shouted to let everyone know he was Noah. Then he rushed to attack Rei, reminding her that she better try to engrave her name in her mind because from now on it will be terrible chaos. Yuno and Rei exchanged moves for a while. Yuno's headache seemed to have disappeared. Rei, on the other hand, seemed quite disappointed with Yuno, admitting that she was the one who caused the chaos this time. However, being too weak to exchange moves makes her no longer need to use half her strength. Seeing her look down on him made Yuno a little uncomfortable. He joked that he hadn't used even 1/10 of his power. Rei understands now that he's looking down on her, so try to resist, she won't hold back anymore. Rei creates countless illusions and then rushes to attack Yuno. It will be very annoying for other opponents. However, Yuno held this move in the palm of his hand, and with just one shot, he missed all of Rei's attacks. This startled both Rei and the other knights. It's really impressive. Now Rei recognizes that Yuno is very strong. Before continuing to fight, she had a curious question for him. Thinking about it again and again, Rei still doesn't understand why, as a god, he created this chaos. This sentence made Yuno burst out laughing. Isn't it obvious why? He did so to let the whole world know his name. This answer caused the knights' faces to change. That's right. This is exactly what Yuno wants. This expression and this thought is a very necessary document to engrave in their minds the name of the evil god Noah. As for Rei, she still doesn't believe it. She needs proof that Noah is the one causing this chaos. Evidence that Yuno discovered that there was a goblin peeking at him, so he quickly caught it and threatened Rei. If you want proof, it's simple, right now you will recreate the chaos. This startled everyone. Mr. Garnos rushed to attack Yuno. It seemed like he already believed that Yuno was the one who caused this. Now the target had to change from Fenrir to him. Garnos's disdainful look at him made Yuno very uncomfortable even though he was a knight. Always trying to serve the country best, but he does not have the qualities of a skillful leader, does not know how to carefully observe the situation before making a decision. At this rate, even if he died, it wouldn't matter at all. Yuno held his sword tightly and began to use his power. This is Yuno's final warning: if you want to live, run like a dog. The other lower-level knights were all gone, but this Garnos was still very stubborn and stood still. At this rate, he will be forced to die and his death will further strengthen the name of the evil god Noah. In an instant, countless thoughts appeared in Yuno's head. He came here just to let them know that it was the evil god Noah who caused this chaos. He was not prepared to kill, but the situation forced him to not kill Garnos. No one would believe the story he just made up anymore. Seeing that Yuno hadn't acted yet, the Garnos started provoking him. It seemed like he wasn't prepared for this situation. This sentence provoked Yuno. There was no need to hesitate any longer. He released the energy. Rei quickly rushed forward to block the attack, but somehow the goddess Athena ran out first. She stood in front of Yuno. Who was that? Was he dressed as the evil god Noah? The attack was flying straight in front of that Yuno, and Athena used her whole body to protect him. Yuno couldn't stop the attack, so he had to kill Athena himself. Yuno has always been an empty person, even though he was born with great power. But he never used it. In the eyes of others they just saw him as a guy with no future. In other words, Yuno is just a person without a dream. His dark life lasted until he met Athena. Due to having extraordinary strength since childhood, Yuno ignored everything. But the moment he met her, Yuno finally found his goal. To make the goddess Athena famous, that was his only goal. But right at this moment, how could he attack Athena? Luckily, Rei jumped in to cut off his attack. The person disguised as Yuno was the holy beast Fenrir. Yuno was angry and scolded Fenrir. Why the hell did Athena let Athena go to such a dangerous place? Fenrir immediately turned back to the stupid person here, Yuno. Look at his face now. Not being able to control his emotions makes his face messy and wet. How can this face take on the role of an evil god? Yuno was startled by this and quickly adjusted her emotions. As for Athens, she came here on her own. Fenrir didn't know anything. Fenrir reminded Yuno one last time. If you still want to play the role of the evil god Noah, then you have to be steadfast in your choice and stop showing that pitiful repentant face. Yuno stood still and looked at everyone, his body constantly trembling. At this moment, Rei mocked Yuno and said that the situation had completely changed. Because now she has the beautiful super goddess here, with the confidence that Yuno will never defeat her. Yuno seemed to understand what Rei meant, so she laughed and accepted this challenge. Along with Athena's flattering words, the other knights also started cheering for Athena. They believed that the evil god Noah would never defeat her. These flattering words made Athena blush with embarrassment. She shouted to stop everyone. Yuno took this opportunity and flew away, causing himself a little injury so that everyone would believe that the last attack was caused by Athena hitting him. That's enough and it's time to retreat. Before that, Yuno still has to threaten everyone a bit before turning tail and flying away. The knights were dumbfounded and still didn't understand anything, but it was true that it was Athena who had just saved them and rushed to thank her profusely. Yuno has now found a quiet place to transform back into his real body. His plan has succeeded. Starting today, the world will know the evil name Noah. One thing is certain. They will mobilize forces to kill him. But it doesn't matter, Yuno is very confident in his ability to hide his power. Yuno was so tired that he collapsed next to a tree and fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up and saw Athena sitting next to him. Yesterday Yuno left, making her so worried that she went looking for her. She thought Yuno wanted to leave her. Of course not. Yuno's purpose in life is to make herself the most famous goddess. Until that wish comes true, Yuno will definitely not leave her. It's been 3 days since the chaos in the Holy Beast forest passed. From now on the Holy Beast Fenrir will live in the Flame family's estate. It was Luna who brought Fenrir here. After the previous incident, Yuno acted as the evil god Noah to clear up the misunderstanding for Fenrir. But of course there will still be some people who don't believe this story. That's why it's safest for Fenrir to live here. A few hours before bringing Fenrir to the Flame family estate, Yuno had to ask the count's permission to raise Fenrir first. And he fiercely refused, not because he didn't like animals but because he was afraid Fenrir would harm his family. It wasn't until Mrs. Char spoke up that he reluctantly agreed. But with one condition: Fenrir will have to live in a dog kennel. In the dog kennel, Yuno was startled. How could the holy beast Fenrir live in a dog kennel? He was about to advise the count when he was stopped by Fenrir, who liked to live in small spaces. Returning to the present, after the count agreed to raise him, Yuno had to devote himself to building a house for Fenrir. And Luna has already thought of a very beautiful name for it: noble, strong and elegant Pochi. Fenrir let them call him whatever they wanted, simply because he liked both sisters. Yuno turned around and saw Athena standing still in a corner, looking like she was afraid of something. To bridge this gap, Yuno called Athena to come play with him and enjoy Fenrir's soft fur together. Meanwhile at the Rose family, Alice was training with her back bent. She can already control most low-level magic, which is why Alice tries so hard. Because she never knows when an incident like last time will happen again, she must become strong like Yuno. While thinking about him, the housekeeper ran to inform Alice that her mother wanted to meet to discuss the meeting tomorrow. At the Night Academy, the student council president, Selena, went to meet with the vice president, Leod, to discuss the war between the gods in the Holy Forest. Leod's Mark family specializes in managing the dark side of the royal family, so the information that Leod knows is a lot. And after hearing the name Noah, he became extremely interested. After checking all the information in the family, Leod was certain that Noah was a god who had never appeared in history. There is still too little information about that god, so it will be put aside for now. Next is the match to choose the students who will join the student council. There are definitely 2 spots for Crame and Alice. Now there's only one remaining, but Leod and Selena have both set their sights on one person who they think will definitely win in the battle to compete. At the Flame family estate, every girl was wrapped around Fenrir's soft fur. They were all happy, making Yuno happy too. This is exactly what Yuno always wanted to achieve. A few days later at the Night Academy arena, Athena's reputation spread so that she could shine brightly. This proves that Athena has gradually become a famous god. Yuno felt like she was acting too much, so she reminded Athena to quickly return to training. During that time, he heard people talking about what happened to her last time. They all believed that it was Athena who chased away the evil god Noah and saved everyone. This is exactly what Yuno wanted when that play took place. It was going in the right direction he liked. Suddenly Maru came forward to mock Yuno. That day Yuno disappeared without a trace. He assumed that Yuno was trying to do something special. But in the end, he's still just a useless guy. It's okay to touch him, but he's not allowed to touch Athens. Just when he was about to drag Athena in, Yuno made him faint. No one knew what Yuno did to blame him. Yuno then asked Master Soleil for permission to take him to the medical room, apologizing to him as he went. Yuno did that just to keep his mouth shut. They were once very close friends. No matter what Maru insulted or did to Yuno, he was ready for him. Yuno brought Maru into the medical room. Liad has been here since forever. Yuno didn't know who he was, but Liad gave off an aura of a perfect guy that surprised Yuno. However, when asked if he was injured, Liad answered in a way that made Yuno a bit worried. How could he injure himself and think it was a seal? Instinct told him not to get involved with this guy. Yuno put Maru on the bed and quickly left. Right now, he suddenly mentioned the evil god Noah. In his Mark family, there are all the records of the gods in this world. The battle that just ended was the birth of a new god, and Yuno was a student who witnessed it all. That's why Liad has a question for Yuno. He wants to know what Yuno thinks about the evil god Noah. Yuno was startled and quickly pointed out Noah's scary points to distract Lloyd's attention. But the more he did that, the more interested he became. No matter how cruel and scary Noah was, what Lloyd was interested in was the extremely handsome faces of the Noah gods. He had been searching for a long time and finally found a god worth making a contract with. Yuno still didn't understand what he meant. Clearly Noah was an evil god in everyone's eyes. Why would this guy want to make a contract with a god like that? Lloyd gently approached to answer Yuno. Being a god must be complicated and bitter, that's what makes them beautiful. Then he mentioned the chaos. If you were a person with sharp eyes, you would realize that it was the evil god Noah who caused the chaos. This sentence from Lloyd made Yuno extremely impressed, but that is just everyone's speculation. As for him, he thought that it was the goddess Astaroth who was behind everything, which startled Yuno. This guy is not ordinary at all. Your meeting with him today was truly fate. The day of the student council competition was about to take place, and as the president, Selena had to personally post the notice. As soon as the notice was posted, everyone immediately ran to respond. Everyone was determined to win this exam. That made Selena very happy. She smiled brightly and encouraged everyone. Having finished here, Selena immediately left when she accidentally saw the goddess Athena flying past her. Seeing Athena, Selena immediately remembered the name Yuno. According to the consensus of both her and Vice President Lloyd, he will be the winner of this exam. Lloyd wants to know Selena's reason first about Yuno's sword teacher. He is the strongest holy sword in the Ray Kingdom. There is no way his swordsmanship can be weak. The second lonely moonlight Luna was the person that the vast majority of prospective knights wanted to be her servant, but Yuno was the one chosen by Luna. That's enough to prove that Luna has seen through Yuno's talent. As for Vice President Lloyd, he had other thoughts, first of all about the fact that Yuno chose to make a contract with an unknown god. Even if he was a fool, he would never act like that. As a wise person, Lloyd can only explain, maybe Yuno's level is extremely high, so he has enough confidence to make a contract with an unknown god. All their doubts will be answered on the day of the match. Returning to Yuno, Lloyd assumed that it was Astaroth who caused the chaos. A thought quickly emerged in Yuno's head. This person is extremely wise and different from other people. This is someone he can trust. So Yuno dismissed the thought of denying what Lloyd had just said and spoke directly to him. He believes that making a contract with an unknown god is not wrong at all. Even if it is wrong, the person at fault is not them but the whole world. That's why Yuno wants to change it. He believes that if there is darkness then there will always be dawn. One day this world will change according to your wishes. Lloyd was stunned at what Yuno just said. It was more perfect than what Lloyd wanted from this kid. Liad quickly pulled out a book to show Yuno. In this book there was a record of everything that happened in the past with a black illustration. But according to Liad, this is the future of the world. Everything will be engulfed in darkness. And to stop that, Liad needs a companion, someone as eccentric as him. Yuno immediately understood what he meant, which made Lloyd laugh. It's been a long time since someone could talk to him normally like that. Yuno told Lloyd that from today onwards, you are his companion. Like Yuno, his future plans will be very difficult. A companion is not bad at all. If they trust each other that much, Yuno is willing to share her secret with him. But as soon as he uttered the name Zeus, Lloyd tied him up. His face completely changed when he heard this name. Seemingly touching something taboo, Yuno quickly found a suitable reason to get out of this situation. Which means that Zeus is the name he gave to a powerful god with whom he wished to form a contract. After resolving the misunderstanding, Lloyd let Yuno go, but he still had to remind Yuno of a few things. That attack just now was to test him. If Yuno was not even able to escape that attack, then he would still be far from winning the exam. Yuno stepped in front of Lloyd with one quick movement, placing her fist under his chin. As long as you like, you can punch his face to pieces. It's very impressive. Now Lloyd completely trusts you to be capable. It was so loud that Maru woke up, thinking someone was eavesdropping on the conversation. Lloyd quickly pushed Yuno to the ground. This caused Maru to misunderstand, and so rumors about his and Lloyd's love affair spread throughout the academy. This image completely ruined Yuno, first as a useless and incompetent person and now gay. Goddess Athena was also invaded by this rumor. She pulled Yuno to ask if it was true or not. Yuno is crazy at this point. Everyone says he's okay, but even Athena believes this, so he has to get rid of that Maru guy. Yuno tried to explain to Athena that he only liked girls. Alice and Ayn stood to the side and watched, already accepting that this guy had caused a big problem after not seeing them for a while. Ayn also seemed to believe this rumor and asked Alice lightly. Ayn's concern for Yuno made Alice very surprised. Could it be that Ayn also has feelings for Yuno? This could mean there is another rival. But Ayn didn't think Yuno really liked girls, so she could pair Yuno and Crame as an ideal couple. That Ayn chuckled. Yuno took Athena to the girls' academy, where there was a meeting with the girls today. As her knight, Yuno had to skip class and come here. Yuno searched and found Luna's classroom. Just as she was about to enter, Athena asked for his permission. She didn't want to come in here, so she hoped Yuno would let her walk around the academy a few times. Athena excitedly said goodbye to Yuno and went ahead. This place was full of girls, so Yuno felt quite secure. This place will be safer than the night academy over there. Yuno entered the classroom to find Luna. This girl was very lonely, so Yuno's eyes caught sight of Luna sitting in a corner by the window. As soon as Yuno came to sit next to Luna, the female students noticed him and began to gather and chat. Yuno was pretty sure that the rumors about him being gay had already spread here. Even Luna had to laugh at the situation. An idle question to see if Yuno really likes men, and Yuno affirms that she doesn't, will make you guys lose your mind. But Luna's next sentence caused everyone to stir. Without fire, there can be no smoke. Let Yuno explain why there is such a strange rumor, and the reason why they talk so much is simply because this side is a girls' academy. There were no men, causing the female students to find something interesting, and Yuno's rumor was so interesting. Moreover, Lloyd is a god in the eyes of the female students. Yuno's rumors are related to him and he is done. Right when Yuno discovered a female student peeking at him, her face and expression immediately reminded Yuno of that girl. The first day he met Luna, she and her gang were bullying Luna. Seeing that Yuno seemed interested in her, Luna immediately answered for him. She is Celilia and Luna's benefactor. Returning to the student council, Chelena angrily ran to see Lloyd. How the hell did he have a relationship with Yuno? Lloyd doesn't deny this at all. Everything is going according to his plan. Exactly, from now on Yuno will be his teammate and Yuno is qualified to observe the world. This made Chelena mad and invited him to join an organization that only leads to death. Lloyd laughed. It seemed like Chelena was misunderstanding something. His organization only had one person. Why did he have to invite a useless person in? Yuno's strength has long surpassed that of students, and is even as strong as Lloyd's. Selena is so dumbfounded by this that it's unbelievable. Selena suddenly remembered her sister. If Yuno is as strong as Lloyd said, then he is the right person for her sister. Returning to Yuno, he sat quietly next to Luna. He thought he understood her well enough. But Yuno mistook him completely for not understanding anything, most importantly the name Maru. Yuno had always been curious about who he would choose to serve, but Yuno never expected that Maru would follow and serve Celicia. Class finally ended, and Yuno had just stood up when Luna spoke up curiously. She knew that from beginning to end Yuno was always staring at Celicia. Could it be that she was his type? Yuno laughed and denied it. Just at that moment Celicia ran over to mock Luna. An eccentric girl with an ordinary knight, it's really too enjoyable. Meanwhile, Athena was still running around the academy admiring the flowers. Celicia continued to tease Luna for boasting about her knight. Maru, who had mastered all kinds of magic, Yuno began to feel something was wrong about this. But let's see how Luna reacts. Luna just smirked and asked Yuno to come with her. Truly an elegant and intelligent woman, Luna's behavior made Celicia angry and pulled her hand back to give her a slap, but Yuno stopped her. Luna turned around and teased Celicia. There was no need to threaten anything because Luna had no intention of telling the others what happened last time. Because according to Luna, Celicia also has to thank her. Thanks to that, Luna was able to meet the best knight, right? Celicia denied that and then sarcastically mocked Yuno for being just a useless knight who could be compared to her Maru. This makes Luna despise her even more. Not only has she lost her noble demeanor, but her eyes for judging people are also blind. Yuno was the one who defeated Maru, that was proof enough. Of course Maru couldn't accept this. As Luna wanted, it was time for Yuno to prove to them the reason why Maru was so confident. Because he signed a contract with a high-ranking god, he now believes he can defeat Yuno. Celicia also immediately followed suit, thinking that making a contract with an unknown god would have any chance of winning. When mentioning Athena, Yuno no longer gave in to her and immediately rushed forward to threaten Celicia, making Celicia tremble in fear. Yuno didn't bother to accept her anymore and Luna left. Athena had been standing outside for a long time. When she saw Yuno, she immediately bragged about the thing she had just gone to see and then they went together once more. As he walked, Yuno remembered Celicia's sarcasm. Athena is not an unknown goddess, he must definitely win against Maru to make her eyes white. A few days later at the Maru's house, he sat waiting for the high god to come see him. But no one has come yet, which makes Maru gradually lose patience. Suddenly the whole room became dark, which startled Maru. As a high-ranking god he came. Before making a contract with Maru he had questions about the lost gods. Maru mentioned the name Athena along with the trash, and he immediately burst out laughing hysterically. That's right, everything was as planned, now he understands why Astaroth acted. But let's put that aside for now as the contract ceremony between him and Maru begins.